The world was left in shock when Jackie filed for divorce from Doug, demanding an eye-watering $300 million. The figure was so outrageous that people couldn't help but wonder, what could have possibly gone so wrong? At first, Jackie played the part of the heartbroken wife, telling anyone who would listen that Doug had betrayed her, disrespected their marriage, and left her with no choice but to walk away. The media pounced, turning Doug into the ultimate villain, a lying, cheating husband who didn't deserve his fortune. But what no one saw coming was that Doug had his own story to tell, and when he finally decided to speak, everything changed. Not only was he fighting for his wealth, he was fighting for his reputation. And with the evidence he had in his back pocket, Jackie's carefully crafted narrative was about to come crashing down in the most dramatic way imaginable. When Jackie Christie announced her divorce from Doug, the headlines practically wrote themselves. The number alone, $300 million, was enough to send shockwaves through the media. Public was stunned. How could a seemingly happy marriage crumble into such a bitter legal war? But Jackie wasn't just asking for an outrageous settlement. She was crafting a story where she was the devoted wife, heartbroken and betrayed, while Doug was the callous husband who had disrespected their marriage beyond repair. It didn't take long for the media to run with it. Tabloids painted Doug as the ultimate villain, a man who had built his fortune only to turn his back on the woman who had been there from the start. Social media erupted in outrage, branding him a liar and a cheater. Fans who once admired him now flooded his posts with accusations. Jackie played the part flawlessly. Tearful interviews, cryptic social media posts, and just enough silence to let the rumors spiral out of control. Doug, on the other hand, remained quiet. No public statements, no denials, no attempts to fight back. It only made things worse. The silence was seen as guilt, and before long, he wasn't just losing control of the narrative, he was losing the public's trust. But while the world was convinced they knew the truth, Doug was watching everything unfold with a quiet determination. He wasn't just sitting back, he was preparing. Because what the public didn't know was that Jackie's story had cracks, and when Doug finally spoke, those cracks would shatter into a scandal no one saw coming. For weeks, Doug remained silent as the world tore him apart. Headlines labeled him a selfish, unfaithful husband. Social media was relentless, with fans dissecting every detail of Jackie's claims, turning him into public enemy number one. But what no one realized was that Doug wasn't ignoring the accusations. He was preparing for something bigger. Behind the scenes, Doug had been working with a team of top-tier attorneys and private investigators, collecting everything he needed to dismantle Jackie's version of events. While she was busy playing the victim, giving emotional interviews, and ensuring the world saw her as the scorned wife, Doug was gathering receipts. And when the moment was right, he was going to use them. The first hint that things were about to change came in the form of a leaked report. A well-connected journalist, one who had previously taken Jackie's side, suddenly dropped a cryptic post. Things aren't always what they seem. This divorce is about to take a turn no one is expecting. The internet buzzed with speculation, but Jackie dismissed it, doubling down on her claims. She thought she was in control. But she wasn't. Doug's legal team had discovered something, a secret so damaging that it wouldn't just clear his name, it could completely destroy Jackie's case. He had let her believe she was winning. But in reality, she had walked straight into his trap, and when Doug finally made his move, it wouldn't just be a defense, it would be an all-out takedown. The courtroom bombshell. The day had finally arrived. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, legal analysts, and curious onlookers, all eager to witness what had become one of the most scandalous celebrity divorces in recent history. Jackie walked in with confidence, her head held high, her expression calm. She had spent weeks ensuring that the public saw her as the wronged wife, and as she took her seat, she seemed certain that today would be no different. But then, Doug's attorney stood up, and everything changed. With deliberate movements, he approached the judge and handed over a thick folder. The room fell into a tense silence as the judge flipped through the pages, his expression shifting with each passing second. Then he looked up, his eyes locking onto Jackie's legal team. "Would you care to explain this?" A murmur rippled through the crowd. Jackie's attorney visibly stiffened, whispering something to her under his breath. But it was too late. The damage had been done. Doug's legal team had just detonated a bombshell. Inside that folder was proof, bank statements, wire transfers, and confidential documents revealing that while Jackie had been pleading poverty, she had secretly been funneling millions into hidden offshore accounts. She hadn't just exaggerated her financial struggles, she had orchestrated an entire scheme to make it look like she was entitled to more money than she actually was. Gasps echoed throughout the courtroom. Jackie shifted in her seat, her carefully curated composure faltering for the first time. The same woman who had painted Doug as the villain was now exposed as a liar. And the worst part? This wasn't just a divorce battle anymore. Jackie was now facing the possibility of real legal consequences. Doug sat back, watching it all unfold. This was just the beginning. The courtroom was no longer just the battleground for a messy divorce. It was now the stage for Jackie's downfall. What started as a fight for money had turned into something far more serious. Doug's attorneys weren't just defending their client. They were exposing a calculated scheme, one that could land Jackie in serious legal trouble. According to the newly revealed evidence, Jackie had been moving money for months, long before she ever filed for divorce. Transactions showed that she had secretly funneled millions into offshore accounts while publicly claiming to be left with nothing. She had told the world she was struggling, that she had sacrificed everything for Doug's success. But the numbers told a different story. She hadn't just been dishonest. She had deliberately fabricated her financial situation to manipulate both the court and the public. And it was only getting worse. Doug's attorneys wasted no time hammering in the facts. Not only had Jackie been hiding money, but she had also been using false documentation to justify her outrageous $300 million demand. That wasn't just deception. It was fraud. Suddenly, this wasn't just about alimony or settlements. It was about whether Jackie had committed a crime. The judge's expression darkened as he took in the evidence, flipping through documents that contradicted everything Jackie had claimed. Jackie, once so composed, was starting to unravel. Her confident posture stiffened, her hands clenched in her lap. She whispered something urgently to her lawyer, but there was no escaping it now. The same courtroom where she had once sat so sure of her victory was now closing in on her. And Doug? He hadn't even played his final card yet. For weeks, Jackie had been in control. She had spun her story so well that the public had eaten it up, turning Doug into the heartless villain. But now, that power was slipping through her fingers, and for the first time, she felt it. The weight of the truth crashing down on her. Still, Jackie wasn't the type to go down without a fight. She sat up straighter, forced a smirk, and leaned toward her lawyer, whispering something with an air of defiance. Then, as if flipping a switch, she scoffed and shook her head. "This is ridiculous," she muttered, just loud enough for the courtroom to hear. "Doug is just trying to ruin me because he doesn't want to pay." The tension in the room thickened. Reporters scribbled furiously. Cameras clicked, and Jackie took a slow breath, regaining her composure. If there was one thing she knew how to do, it was turn the narrative in her favor. But Doug's legal team was ready. Without missing a beat, his attorney reached into his briefcase and pulled out another set of documents, handing them to the judge. The judge's eyes scanned the pages, and for the second time that day, his expression shifted. Only this time, it wasn't just disbelief. It was concern. And then, Doug's lawyer delivered the final blow. "When you treat people badly, they don't stay loyal forever," he said smoothly. "Everyone who helped you pull this off, including your assistant, has turned against you." Jackie's confident smirk wavered. Her assistant? The person she trusted to keep her secrets? She turned sharply to the side, eyes locking onto Melissa, her former right-hand woman, who sat silently among the spectators. And then, in a voice so low it was almost a whisper, Jackie hissed, "You'll regret this." But Melissa didn't flinch. She simply met Jackie's gaze and, for the first time, refused to look away. Jackie had always believed she was the smartest person in the room, that no matter what happened, she would always have the upper hand. But as the walls closed in around her, for the first time, it seemed like she had finally met her match. Doug wasn't just fighting back, he was winning, and Jackie was running out of moves.